All right, so the topic of the Zoom is the Kyle Rittenhouse situation. Plus, we're gonna end with colorism because colorism kept being brought into other Zooms just like slightly. So I figured it's time to like fully address the topic of colorism. But I also wanted to start off with the Kyle Rittenhouse situation because it's so recent and I know it's really affecting the Black community right now. So yeah, to start off on that topic, I wanted to show a quick video that kind of addresses the whole situation. And then we have Serenity speaking on that situation. I'm gonna try to play it from my computer. Last time you guys were saying you couldn't hear from my computer, so hopefully it works out. If not, Tatiana said she'd be able to show that video because we were able to see it off of her computer last time. So yeah, I'm gonna pull that up really quick. Let's see. I pray it works this time. All right. Let's see. All right, can you guys give me a thumbs up if you guys could see the screen at least right now? All righty. Thank you guys. And here is the quick video explaining the situation that we're going to be discussing today. Oops, muted.
Because of our history, that primarily means people of color, African Americans, Latinos, and others who are often marginalized economically, and in a system that is governed almost strictly by money, will be inherently disadvantaged in trying to buy their freedom. A judge might say bail has an amount like $1 million, intending for someone to remain in jail, but whether or not that person actually does remain in jail is simply a function of how much wealth they have access to. In Rittenhouse's case, unsecured evidence through crowdfunding numbers. The entire intent behind setting a bail that high is you don't expect the person to be able to actually beat it. That's why it's so easy to see why the bail system is arbitrary when that really should have been asked at Rittenhouse's initial hearing, which is whether or not he presents a flight risk or a risk of danger to the public. And if the judge felt there was no other way to manage that risk, if there was one, that just denied him bail. But that wasn't available here. About 2/3 to 70% of people held in jails are people awaiting.
I think my Wi-Fi is messing up or something. Pausing. Sorry guys, my Wi-Fi is loading. What is going on? Technical difficulties, 1 sec. Turn the Wi-Fi off your phone. All right, let's try this again. All right, Tatiana, you might have to take over because I don't know, my Wi-Fi is not loading.
Let me go get my mom real quick.
Okay.
This is her computer. Give me 1 second.
All right, hopefully, maybe by the time we come back, it's loaded. Sorry about this, guys. Broke college student Wi-Fi, so. Let's try to refresh.
judge felt there was no other way to just whether or not he presents a flight risk or a risk of danger to the public. And if the judge felt there was no other way to manage that risk, if there was one, that just denied them bail. But that wasn't available here. About 2/3 to 70% of people held in jails are people awaiting trial and have not been convicted of anything. About 500,000 people on any given day are being held prior to trial because they can't secure their own release on bail. African Americans and other people of color are far more likely to be detained prior to trial because they can't afford bail, suggesting implicit or even explicit bias. They also receive higher bail amounts. It's about 35% higher for African American men than it is for white men, and bail for Latino men is about 19% higher than white men. The more common occurrence is poor defendants getting a bail set without any consideration of their own individual circumstances, and then languishing in jail for weeks or months or even years sometimes because of that indifference.
All right.
So this is teeny tiny little needles.
Oh, I are scared. At least she's not using it to rub Kylie's skin in her face. Today we
Sorry, guys. All right. So let me stop. Okay, so yeah, I just wanted to kind of give like a baseline before we started diving into the Kyle Rittenhouse situation. Sorry for all of the crazy technical difficulties. I don't share a lot of videos, so I'm sure the more I practice sharing, like the more, I'll be able to smooth it out. But yeah, that kind of explains like the issues that were surrounding the case, why there were so many upset people in the Black community, because it really did show two justice systems, just like blatantly for everyone to see, two justice systems that exist in America. And so with that being said, Serenity is going to be the first to speak, and she is speaking on this situation. So Serenity, when you're ready.
Okay, hi, my name is Serenity. I'm from Washington, and I wanted to talk about the Kyle Rittenhouse situation. And I go to Clark Atlanta University. Sorry, that was all over the place, but yeah, so it's something that I want to talk about too. It's kind of been on my mind because I think for everybody it was kind of like a shock, no matter what side you're on. And for me, before, because I had my own opinions on it before the Zoom, but I kind of wanted to like look more into it because I feel like I only saw what was on social media and I didn't really know like what actually took place. So earlier today, I went and like looked at some videos and stuff, and I was a little stressed out because I didn't know what to think, honestly. And I still feel the same way about, let me just say what I'm talking about. So basically what I saw was the video that I watched. I saw Kyle Rittenhouse like walking in this where he was, like where all the riots were going on and stuff, and he was walking and then a man came up after him, and yeah, rest in peace to the people that died as well, that passed from that and who were injured. I saw someone come after him and throw like a paper bag at him, and then Kyle seemed to be like kind of cornered, and then he shot at the guy. And so after seeing that, I was like a little like I understood why he got off the way he did in the courtroom, but I still feel the same way I feel before being that there's so many, like, if that had been a Black man that had went across state lines, a 17-year-old at that, with a gun to go protect whatever type of building, whatever type of business, it would have been a very different situation. And that's just the bottom line of it, I feel like. I'm really trying to gather my words. What am I trying to say? I was speaking to my mom earlier, and I was saying that I feel like if you come across state lines and bring a weapon in any situation, if you come and have a weapon, that means you're the aggressor because you have the upper hand in the situation. So I don't understand how you can be the aggressor with a weapon, but somehow it's self-defense in any circumstance, because at that point you were the person that had the gun, had the weapon. So to me, it's kind of like, I'm just so, I just want to hear other people's opinions on it, because I get it, but at the same time, it's still really up in the air to me, and I want to hear other people's opinions, because I know it's such like a touchy topic. And at the end of the day, I still see him as like a teenager, but at the same time, I need, it's really important for me to for other people to understand how different it would have been had it been a person of color. And when Rainice, when you brought up the bail video, that too, like, how often do you see a person of color's bail being raised, especially had they come and shot 2 people and killed them across state lines for what? A business, something that can be built back up, but 2 people's lives can't be brought back. So I just feel like Black people are always like portrayed as like aggressive and almost like the problem. And it's like you have someone who purposely put themselves in a situation that is likely to get out of hand, and you're a young person. Like, where are your parents? Why are you going out of your way to put yourself in harm's way? It's kind of like, to me, it's like a boy who cried wolf. Like, why would you put yourself in that situation, and then somehow you're on the stand crying? I just don't get it. To me, I don't understand it. But I'm trying to be like as compassionate and like understanding as possible, because I know there's it's always like politics, and there's always so much stuff involved, and it's hard not to just see things from like a clear, like, take yourself out of it and look at it and just see it for what it really is, I think, nowadays. But I don't know, it's just really a tough situation where there's so many things going on in the world. It's like one thing after another, and it's hard to kind of like take everything that happens and then still look at new situations like this, and keep a clear mind. Because how can I not go back and look at Trayvon Martin, someone that was not putting himself in harm's way, not doing anything wrong, passed away, and then that person is still the person that did it, has no consequences. And I look at Kyle Rittenhouse now, and he put himself in harm's way, was the aggressor, and still there's no consequences for his actions. So I don't know, it's tough, and I would love to hear other people's opinions, and anybody is open to ask questions. Or I don't think I'm one to be able to answer questions, but I just want to hear other people's opinions.
Thank you so much, Serenity. And yeah, I would love also to hear other people's points on this too, but I definitely get what you're saying. People are saying like, oh, just look at the one situation through an unbiased lens, but it's like, how can you, when every single situation, like you said, if this was a Black person, it would not be handled the same at the end of the day. And that's why people were getting so upset, because he was over here besties with the judge. He was over here like, and like you said, it like, yes, he was cornered, this and that. And maybe you can be more compassionate for the situation if Black young youth were also shown compassion when they were in similar situations or not even as bad situations, you know? So I think that's what's like really upsetting is like, oh, show compassion. And yeah, you want to, but where's the compassion for our young Black men that keep having these situations happening, you know? So yeah, anybody else want to speak on the Kyle Rittenhouse situation?
Hi, I do. Literally just based off what you just said, Rainice, about giving the same compassion to Black youth and everything, that literally just triggers my mind to think of the Central Park Five, who literally went through hell and they did nothing. There was DNA evidence that proved they did nothing. They were not involved with what they were involved with. I don't want to say certain words because once this does go up on YouTube, like, you know, they're crazy about certain stuff. But it's just like, and Donald Trump was literally saying that they deserve the death penalty and they need to do all this and all that. They innocent, literally 5 innocent Black young men who were just in the wrong place at the wrong time, who were scared, who didn't know how to handle the situation. They didn't have their parents with them. Like, it was a whole thing. But then there's all these white kids and all these, like, I feel weird saying all these white kids, but it really is just all these white men and women and children that just get away with like a slap on the wrist or nothing in this case. Because it's like, didn't he also say he had to keep a low profile at his college because kids were staring at him and he wasn't even enrolled in the college? Like, the whole thing is just, it is very double standard, and it is hard to see it without a biased lens because the system is not unbiased. It is completely biased. They definitely see darker skin tones as a threat, which it's like, why do you see us as a threat when like literally the last 2 most recent school shootings that just happened within like the threat that happened at, I think it was Voyager or Mariner. And then what just happened in, I don't even remember, but the kid's name was Ethan, I'm pretty sure. It's 2 white kids. And how many other school shootings have we had that are of white boys, mostly? It's not even Black kids. Like, why are we still being portrayed as thugs and criminals and we're doing all this and we're doing all that and we're such bad people when it's proven time and time and time again it's your own American citizens that are within their own system doing what you think we're doing? Because they even charged the Ethan kid with terrorism. And I don't think they've done that to a white kid in, I don't know. I don't remember the last time I've ever heard of a white kid being charged with terrorism. But the fact that they did that, like, yes. And the fact that they're charging the parents as well because they didn't lock up their guns and whatever, like, I'm so on board for that. Because my mom has even asked, because my fiance he owns 2 guns. And she's like, well, what are you going to do if your kids get in there? The kids aren't getting in there because it's going to be locked. It's going to be up high up. They're not going to be allowed anywhere where they're not supposed to be. Like, that's not how, like, you know, like, and like all of these white people who are trained and do hunting with their parents and shoot guns for fun and do all this and that. And then like Black people just are Black, and that's a whole crime within itself, you know? So literally just you saying that, like, it's so frustrating because had it been 5 white boys in that Central Park at that time, they would have just been like, oh, you didn't do it? Okay, did you see who did it? But because it was 5 Black boys, it was just, and one of the boys just went down to the police station with their friend. Like, it wasn't even like he was even involved like that. And he's still, all of them did jail time for that. Like, it's very hard to see the justice system through unbiased eyes when it has been proven for too long that it is completely biased. And for this case specifically, I mean, there's definitely a lot of opinions and there's a lot of emotions and there's a lot going on behind it. But you really do have to think, how quick would he have been in jail had he been Black? Like, would there have even been a trial? Would there have even been this or that? Like, it would have, like, you cross state lines at 17 with an illegal gun because you're not even an adult to own one with your mom. And like, you know, so yeah, it's just this, the whole system is just, and this case just really amplifies it.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say too, is that it just put it on like a world stage, the difference in treatment that people can receive. Like no one's saying, like you were saying, you know, Serenity, that they don't feel bad that he was like a young person, he made a mistake, this and that. What people are saying is that it's unacceptable that if, like we all have been saying, a Black person was in that situation, they would not have gotten away with the slap on the wrist. And what made me even more mad is finding out that he did lie about certain stuff that he said. I'm just like, bro, because the tears already had me like, bro, why? The crying had me like, bro, why? But then hearing that he lied, it just made me more mad. But yeah, then it's just hard for me because I'm like, it's hard for me to feel that compassion, like I said, when I just see, I mean, this is what I'm dedicating my career to. I see all these Black and brown people that are like being wrongfully incarcerated, one, or being served harsh punishments that are just ridiculous. And then seeing the other side of the justice system. I mean, that's what I want to change, but sometimes I get scared that I might not be able to make the change I want to because of the broken system that exists. Like the real issue, well, actually, no, it's not a broken system. The system's doing exactly what it's meant to do. But that's what I worry about sometimes with my career choices. Like I just don't ever want to feel stuck in that system. So I'm going to be trying to work for Black people, for specifically Black nonprofits and everything, because I want to tackle issues like these. But yeah, those are all really good points on the Kyle situation. Did anyone else want to jump in on that? Okay, so if no one else had anything to say on the Kyle Rittenhouse situation, then we can go on to the next speaker. Really quick, I just wanted you guys to know, like, you don't have to have like anything specific to say. Like sometimes you could just vent if you want to. That's kind of what we were trying to do here on that situation. Cause I don't know, schools sometimes don't really actually no, schools all the time don't take into account these traumas that affect Black people. Like they think, oh, it's just happening somewhere else, this doesn't affect this person. But in reality, when you see people that look like you being treated badly every day, being killed, just like things like these really do stress you out. And it sucks that schools don't take that into account. Like when all the things in 2020 were even happening, it was just one thing after another happening to the Black community. And I literally felt like so overwhelmed. But did I have time to actually sit there and feel that? No, I had to get on to the next assignment. I had to get on to the next thing. So it really sucks that people think just because it's happening somewhere far away, it doesn't affect us, because it's like, no, this does affect us because it happens to us all the time. And we've had personal experiences with stuff like this, you know? So yeah, the Rittenhouse situation, I feel like definitely stressed, again, the Black community, because it's just like, well, here we go again, another situation, but this time it's blatantly shown to everyone in America. So if you really don't see the two justice systems that exist, and you don't see that being white is a privilege at this point, because that's literally what the whole case showed. He had that privilege because, like we all said, if he was Black, he wouldn't have had that privilege. Then, like, I don't even know what to say anymore. Like, this just clearly showed it. But yeah, Serenity, did you want to say something?
Another thing that I saw that was really frustrating was him being interviewed afterwards. Like, it's cool. Did you see that? Being on talk shows, like, what is he being interviewed for? What are we, like, it's like a head scratcher. Like, I don't, is he famous now? Like, what he did was like take 2 lives. So I understand why we're kikiing and talking about favorite colors and stuff. Like, it's not something to be celebrated. Like, if you got off, cool. We knew that was gonna happen. That's fine. But go on about your life and do whatever it is you want to do. Don't. It's like he is being taken advantage of, and now it's something that's like we're not even talking about the reason why he's being interviewed. Like, yeah, that's all.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like, I saw that too. And that's what I'm saying. Like, we're over here celebrating him like he did something good. Like, no, he still murdered people. Like, I completely agree with what you're saying. Like, that's what had me hot too. That's what I'm saying. There was just one thing after another. First, it was the fake tears. Then it was just like all the things coming out, interviews. Like, I just couldn't. But, Tatiana?
Literally, yeah, no, I was gonna say something else, but you brought up the whole interview thing. I totally even forgot about that, because yeah, they're like, we're with the Kyle Rittenhouse, like he's some, I don't even know what to call him. Like, he's a kid to me. I'm old to myself, but he's like a whole child out here doing interviews about just who even cares. Like, I don't understand that. Why are we giving him such a platform? Because he was let off, and because he's so young and he's been convicted at such a young age, and how many times has that happened within the Black community, and yet nothing? And how many times have we been wrongfully accused and gone to prison and served decades
and can't even get an apology from people who accused you?
Come on now, like what? Or they'll give you some financial compensation for all the years you did in prison, which no, I can't get those years back. It don't even matter how much money you give me. Like, if I was incarcerated in 2003 and I just got out in 2021, there's a lot of time and a lot of technology and I've missed out on so much. You can't get that back. No matter how much money you give me, great, I'll have a house. I'm not going to be able to get back my life. I don't have, and a lot of them, like, look, I don't even know. But what I was gonna say was, with Rainey saying that, like, now we're seeing it on such a big platform, I was talking to my brother-in-law about it, and he also had said that, like, now even like white people are realizing that there's so much privilege with that whole situation. And I had argued that maybe white people do notice it right now, but it's been a thing since, very much since Christopher Columbus discovered America, because it's always been white people lives matter more than the Native Americans and the Black people that are here, than the Mexicans that have come here, than anybody else that has come here. So it's like weird for me to, I guess, just the way that I maybe see it personally, like, I see so much just white privilege, and people who deny white privilege, like, what do you mean? Because white privilege is not that you have struggled. It's not that. It's like, are you followed in a store? Are you wrongfully accused of stuff? Are you scared when the police pull you over? Do you think you are gonna have to fight for your life, and you have to have literal certain like widgets where you have your ID and all your insurance cards right here at hand point so they don't think you're reaching for something? Like, do you need that? Because we do. Like, I don't, it's so irritating. But it's just like, I'm glad if white people are now seeing it. Like, if this is your eye opener, then great, because it's been happening for centuries and you guys need to hop on board, because shit's not right. And I'm not gonna sit here and keep pretending like I'm gonna turn a blind eye. No, like, it's been going on forever, literally forever. And for this one situation, which I feel like there has been so many situations where white privilege has been shown within the justice system, but they want to take this one. I don't even know why. Maybe it's because he has been getting interviews and so much media time that they're really paying attention. But it's just like, why is he even getting all of this coverage? Like, what has he done for the community, for literally any community, to be sitting here on these talk shows with these people excited to interview him? Like, I'm glad you got off. Great, cool. Like, okay, go live your life now. Like, what does that have to do with me? What does that have to do with anything? You know? Like, what are you helping interviewing this man? But yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I feel like it is just frustrating that he is just parading around doing interviews like it's not a serious situation. And like it's just frustrating because a Black person could not afford to do the same, basically. What I did want to bring up with all these points too before we end on this topic was I feel like a lot of Black people, you know, when the results came out about this case, you know, we weren't surprised. Nobody was surprised at all. And it's really sad because so many Black people are becoming like desensitized to these types of situations. Like me for a while there, I would just scroll past anything I saw police brutality. I would scroll past anything I would see with like, I would scroll past a situation like this, the Kyle Rittenhouse thing, because I just felt like I've seen it, I've heard it, like I don't want to keep hearing about my community dying. And I feel like that's how a lot of people are becoming, or not just my community dying, like in this case, the double standards and stuff like that. Like I just wanted to tune it all out because I felt like I've just heard it all before and we're all just expecting this negativity to happen. And it does happen every time. And it sucks that the Black community has to be like, well, not surprised at all. I knew that was going to happen. Like, not surprised that he got off in this way, but this Black person got off in this way. Like, it really sucks that we're becoming so desensitized to situations like these. And I can't blame, like, I try to like wake some people up. Like, I've met people that are literally just done, like they don't care about Black issues at all anymore because they become so desensitized by these problems. And I'm like, I can't blame them. Like I've tried to be like, how do you not care? But then they explain, well, you know, this always happens to us. Nothing changes. Everything's the same. And I understand like how people feel like that. They feel like they just want to give up because things like this just keep happening where it's the double standard and where like the Black community is constantly marginalized in all aspects of society. So yeah, I definitely, this situation, I'm glad we all got, well, some of us, and I'm glad everybody could hear the situation and we could vent a little bit on it. If anyone else wants to add anything, now would be the time because then we're gonna go ahead and switch. All right, so let me see what's next. All right, so that will be it for the Rittenhouse topic. Our next speakers are going to be talking about colorism. I found a video again, hopefully this time I turned off all other electronics in my apartment. So hopefully there's no like glitches this time, but this is just like a baseline video on colorism before we dig into that topic. Then we'll have Reggie speak on his personal experience. He's going to be joining us later. And then Tatiana is going to end with her personal experience, and I'll just add in here and there. So let me share my screen again. Sorry, one sec. All right. So first, I wanted to start off with the definition of colorism: the practice of discrimination by which those with lighter skin are treated more favorably than those with darker skin. This practice is a product of racism in the United States, and that it upholds the white standards of beauty and benefits white people in the institutions of oppression, such as media, medical world, etc. Some history on colorism. Slaves with lighter skin are assigned domestic tasks, while slaves with darker skin were forced to work outside in the fields doing much more grueling tasks. Lighter skinned slaves were favored because they were often the product of slave owner raping a slave, thus creating a lighter skinned child. There was also the paper bag test. In the 19th and 20th century, the paper bag test was often utilized in Black spaces and in hiring of Black people. If someone was the same color as or lighter skinned than a paper bag, they would be allowed into the space considered for hire. If they were any darker than a paper bag, they would not be. And then for hiring practices, skin tone was often the most important factor in applying for work as a person of color in the mid-20th century. Light skin was often reported on a resume ahead of any other information or experience. And then just to kind of talk about it, in other cultures, we see this a lot too, but I'm specifically obviously going to be talking about the Black community, but it happens in, the Hispanic community as well. I've heard, my Indian friends saying how it happens in their culture as well, where like lighter skin is favored. And that's like how it's been for most cultures, I believe, for centuries. So then I wanted to go ahead and show this video that kind of gives you like some baseline on colorism. Again, if y'all can't hear it, please let me know.
I have been called a lot of different names relating to skin color, and I always find it fascinating that most of the time people think that the things that they're saying are a compliment, even when I find them to be like really offensive.
First started this semester, people come to me and like try to like get at me, I guess you could say. They would say like, you're pretty to be dark skinned, and like you're the first dark skinned girl I've talked to. Like, and they think that as a compliment, but it's really an insult to me as a person. Like, are you saying compared to a light skinned girl, I'm not as pretty?
I think when you talk about the experiences of people of African descent in the country who have been through enslavement and been through all types of Jim Crow-ism and residential segregation, school segregation, that it plays out within our communities as well.
But what names I heard to describe African Americans?
Light skin, dark skin.
And then within the light, there's light bright. Light bright.
Light bright.
Light bright and almost white.
Oreo.
Monotone.
Cracker.
Monochrome. Mulatto. Octoroon. Quadroon. Septune.
Yellow.
High yellow. High yellow.
Probably the most inflammatory that I remember being called piss colored.
Piss colored yellow.
Piss colored yellow. Actually, I thought I was dark skinned until I went down south. They called me a red bone down there. They said, oh, you red.
Red bone.
Red bone. Red bone.
Red.
Yellow bone. Lacquered.
Food analogies, chocolate, cocoa.
Chocolate, caramel, walnut, white chocolate, cocoa.
They had this weird thing on school like caramel pops.
Toffee.
Coffee color is mocha chocolate.
Cinnamon, caramel, all that.
Mahogany, ebony. I mean, there's some really beautiful ones.
And then, of course, on the darker end of the spectrum, there's all the more derogatory terms like darkie.
Darkie, blackie.
Black.
Jet black.
Blue black.
Blue
black. Tar baby.
Burnt.
Burnt.
Crispy.
Midnight black.
Boo boo black.
The black is night, the black is shit. Specifically, when you talk about the experiences of Black folks, of African Americans in this country, although there are some very kind of uniform experiences, there's all types of experiences that are dictated by color and by hue.
I think people of different skin colors definitely get treated differently. In our society, generally, light-skinned girls are considered prettier.
Among women, there's this pecking order sometimes.
I know dark-skinned girls talk about it all the time. I would get told, you're pretty for a dark girl. Boys make it clear, like, I like light-skinned girls. So I always was aware of being more dark, or being on that end of the spectrum, I'll say, as not being something as desirable.
If you're lighter, that's a preferable thing.
My dark-skinned friends always have that issue where they feel like the light-skinned friends in the group got the one up on them when we go out, when it's men, looking at, the clique, like, who do I want to talk to? Sometimes they feel like they're overlooked for lighter girls. And sometimes they are.
I don't discriminate, but, I see a lot of light skin, they always do their thing. Seem like a lot of light skin always get cute and dress up.
The light skinned girls were always the cute girls, right? The cute girls that everyone was trying to holler at. It was acceptable if you were dark skinned, if you were thick.
Well, I definitely love my dark skinned ladies too.
Then the young brothers would be on the dark skinned, thick sisters. The darker you were, the more objectified you were as a female.
I think some of the values that people have around skin color are really crazy.
The light-skinned guy's the pretty boy. All the girls want him, but then the dudes think he's soft. The dark-skinned dude is cool with all the guys, but the girls don't really want him because they think that he's uglier the darker that he is.
People have a thing in their mind that light is more attractive.
When I meet with a woman, they just always after the light-skinned guy in the group. I approach a female, like, what's up, girl? She like, who is that over there?
I have seen some ugly mofos that dark-skinned girls have drooled over just because they were light-skinned. And I'm looking like, are we looking at the same dude? He is ugly.
It used to be that, you get more flavor, you get a job if you were more light-skinned. But you'd also, though, if you weren't black enough, that would also work against you too. Because sometimes people really wanted someone who was really dark-skinned, which is their way of saying you're black. Because if you're light-skinned, you're not necessarily black.
Light-skinned black men have like a stereotype of being more militant because like they're overcompensating for not being as black as a dark-skinned man.
I always say, like my men like my coffee, which is black. There's that expression, the darker the berry, the sweeter the juice. So sometimes that's like a positive thing. A person with really dark skin, they're going to be like this guy. It's a positive thing if they're dark.
There's like an urban legend that the dark you are, the bigger package you have.
When it comes to color with the light bright thing or high yellow, sometimes it gives that connotation. This person's better.
She thinks she white. It's not even like a name. It's just an expression. She thinks she white.
But you get, categorized as having to be a certain way or having a certain attitude.
That must be my mentality if that's what I look like.
But I think it also depends on how they present, how they, manifest or carry themselves in the world. And that could have something to do with whatever internalized stuff they have going on, or it could have to do with the ways that color can be currency, how, whatever it is, this ranking or this meaning that's attached to how we look.
I'm thinking about my brothers, Ricardo or Richard, very dark, beautiful, smart, intelligent, much brighter than I. Was told day one, you're not going to amount to anything. Look at you. You don't look clean, because of the color of the skin. He's born with that skin color. What's that to do with his being able to be successful? And I think about how he internalized it all. And he actually spent most of his life in prison. There is something related.
Alrighty. So yeah, I just wanted to add that video in because I felt like it did a really good job of showing like what I'm meaning by colorism. With the history, it also shows the way that it started, and even today, it's still like lighter skinned people we do have a privilege. Oh, sorry. Someone said something in the chat, so just making sure. Did the girl say color currency? Which girl are we talking about? Anybody know? I'm not sure which part you were specifically talking about, Auntie. But basically the whole video was just saying like the different ways that people can experience colorism. But like I said, the history really shows that lighter skin has a privilege. And I've always known that being lighter skinned that I do have a privilege. Like I've heard actual stories my grandmother has told me about like years ago being in line at a grocery store and her sister being perceived as white because she's lighter skinned and getting away with things while she's getting like questioned and all this at the same grocery store because she actually looks like she's Black. So like there is definitely a privilege with being lighter skinned, and I hope that video just showed like all the different forms of colorism that can occur, because colorism can also be reversed the other way around too. Like they were saying, like there's like derogatory terms for lighter skinned people or stereotypes that come from colorism, like light skins are supposed to be soft and like all the stereotypes that they had mentioned about darker skinned people. So yeah, I just really wanted to show the baseline on that before we had our speaker come in. did anybody have any questions on that video? I will send the links in the chat since some people's sound probably was choppy showing that video. Let me go find the links really quick. But yeah, any questions? Or Ty, did you have anything you wanted to add in the video before your actual speech?
No, I have some stuff to say for my little segment.
All right. I'm just gonna hold my computer. All right. I'm just waiting on that speaker. I'm going to text him really quick. If he doesn't come right now, then we'll probably have you go first, Tatiana. But let me get those links for you guys from both the videos. There's the first video that we watched. All right, looks like he's joining us right now, by the way. But here is the second video. And actually this whole site had like a bunch of videos on colorism too. So like if you guys wanted to check out the site deeper, then you could learn even more about it. But now that we have that baseline for what colorism is and the history a little bit behind it, I wanted some people to share some personal experiences they've had with colorism, starting with Reggie.
Hello, can you hear me? You can't? Okay. I'm out here looking crazy. Anyway, so hi, I'm Reggie. Nice to see y'all today. I'm basically going to be talking to you guys about colorism in the gay community. I was going to talk to you guys about colorism in the education system. I just feel that the education system topic would have been something that I would have like needed to do lots of research on, because that's something that like holds a serious weight to it. But this topic is something a little more personal. Basically, oh, well, let me introduce myself. I'm Reggie, I'm 21, you know, I like to do art. And I'm not gonna say too much, but just know these next couple of months, it's about money moves. Anyways, but yeah, that's a little introduction about me. But I'm basically gonna talk to you guys about what is colorism in the gay community. Essentially, it's not too far off from what you would see within straight society. It's more so a game of like attraction, you know, who do we like, who do we not like, who do we see as attractive, you know, and usually it's the people who are on the poster board of the gay community. It's usually light-skinned individuals or white individuals. You'd see like a mixture of people here and there that are either brown skin, or you might get one or two individuals who are dark skinned. Those are rare to find. And then even within that, something that I find that is really, really negative in society is their viewpoints on darker skinned individuals who are in the gay community. And in a sense, we're constantly like, there's like little words that are pinpointed on us, you know? There's tropes that are associated with us. We're either not good enough, we're dramatic, we're loud, we're always promiscuous, we're always seen as something that we could like, we could be useful towards somebody else. And it's really negative and it's sad because like in the community, like we already got enough to deal with, you know, why is it the TQ youth the suicide rate is already up there. It's already up there. It's really, really sad. But the numbers of the people, like the really, really large numbers that make up that suicide rate are people who are darker skinned or who are like more like anything other than light skin or white, basically. And it's really sad because like when I was a teenager and I was trying to figure out my sexuality and my things and what, you know, my society's reception towards my sexuality was, it was already hard as is, but to have to be inside of my community and still have to try and navigate who likes me, who thinks I'm this, who thinks I'm that. It's like, it's ridiculous, you know? At that age, you're meant to learn so many different things. You're meant to experience life, you know? It's literally the introduction to what is going to be the meat of your life. And to like have the introduction be like something so negative, it's really, really disheartening. I guess I could say like my personal experience with colorism in the gay community, it was constantly a conversation of like, Reggie, what can you bring to the table? You know, I get you're Black, but what else? And I'm not trying to like be friends with you because of your mind, your body, your soul. I'm trying to be friends with you, or I'm trying to get with you purely because you're Black and it's different and it's something that I can try and like use in a way of my preference. And I just hate the fact that there's even such a word as preference, because like preference is like, I don't know, it's just like a conversation of like, I only see beauty in light-skinned individuals or white individuals, X, Y, and Z. And I'm not saying that everybody thinks this way. I'm just saying like from what I've seen, what I've been through, and the different people who I've come in contact with in like a generality, this is how a big majority of those people think. But yeah, that's just kind of like the base of it. You know, I kind of gave you guys like a little quick rundown. I had some technical difficulties. I wanted to tell you guys more, but yeah, that's just kind of enough for you guys' minds to kind of do the turning. Let me know what you guys think. If you guys have any questions, if you guys had any personal like experience with this, because I'd love to like hear you guys' minds and thoughts and just what you guys have been through. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Reggie. I really appreciate you coming and sharing your personal experience because, yeah, I think a lot of people can relate to that. One thing I know I've experienced was actually with my brother. He was young. He's grown as a person. He's matured. But when he was younger, he would tell me, I just don't like dark-skinned girls. I just don't like darker women. I just don't like he only would ever look for lighter skinned women, and it would frustrate me so bad. I'm like, bro, how can you say that? Do you see your aunt? Do you see your grandma? Do you see all these beautiful women in your life who have this color skin and you're saying it's ugly? Like, what do you like? And then I would literally pull up pictures of Ryan Destiny, of freaking Gabrielle Union. I'm like, you cannot tell me these people are not bomb. Like, what do you mean? And like, I think that's how a lot of people honestly start out, because of what we kind of talked about before, the European standards of beauty. They grow up thinking lighter skin is pretty, and they don't really learn until they've matured and educated themselves. Like, obviously now my brother, he would never say some dumb stuff like that. And I'm glad he's grown from it, because a lot of people don't. I mean, we still have grown men over here hating on Black women and calling Black women horrible names, relating stereotypes to them, all of that. But yeah, I feel like it was just crazy to me that someone in my own family would think like that. And actually someone who was going to speak today, Trey, who's normally here on like every Zoom, he has similar experiences where it's coming from his own family too, like these prejudices just over the darkness or lightness of one's skin tone. And it's just crazy to me that that's such a big thing, or that people would straight up not talk to someone because of that factor. Like, it's insane to me. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. Anybody else want to bounce off of Reggie's or share a personal experience on this topic?
Hi, I'm straight. I don't necessarily have an experience like that, but I do have a question for Reggie. Being Black, how you said that they don't really care what you do or what you necessarily bring to the table. They like that you're Black. Have you found that, because I've heard of, and I didn't really think of it until recently, but like Black fetishes, like, have you felt that within the Black community, or not within the Black community, within the gay community as well? Because I know there's a lot of white men who will get with Black girls because either they like to feel dominant or they like it's a weird thing that I've heard of. I haven't experienced it. My fiance is Black, but have you experienced that within the gay community, for they only like you like specifically because you're Black or you're light skin or you're the tone that they prefer?
That beautiful question right there. Thank you so much. Yes, YES with like 3 exclamation points, because realistically, that's pretty much a big majority. I mean, I'm young, I'm still very much going through my experience in life, but that's pretty much a big majority of what my relationship was like in the gay community. You know, if I went to like a club, you know, like I might not see it as much, but if I'm in like a school or if I'm at work, it's usually like that. You know, it's usually a conversation of, I like you because you're super deep skinned, or you're brown skin, or you're dark skinned, and you know, your skin, I mean, you know, all the really disgusting freaking narratives that if you're Black and skinny, that, you know, you can get down with the get down, da 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 da. It's annoying. It's ridiculous. You know, I don't believe that we should just think with what meets us in between our legs. We need to think about what's going down in our hearts and in our minds. And realistically, I wouldn't necessarily say that I'm like a saint in this situation, because growing up, there was a point in time where I only like light skins, you know, and I didn't know why that was. I was like, why do I only like light skins? Why is that something that, like, you know, I still like light skins now. Let me not say, I like all the colors of the rainbow, but that's because of my maturity. But like growing up, I was like, I only like light skins, but that was because at the time I'm learning about the gay community, and I see that the only thing realistically at the time that I was like seeing this was light skins, or that there were just white people. You know, I didn't see too many brown skins or deep dark skins to like see and like be like, oh snap, I think they're attractive, or they're seen as a positive figure within my community. You know, I just see, you know, only light skins. But yeah, that was a really good question. Thank you for asking.
Yes, for sure. And speaking of the media, I was going to say, I watched a whole documentary on Netflix. I can't remember what it's called, but the main character in How to Get Away with Murder, Annalise, I don't know if y'all watched that show. She's a very prominent Black actress. Oh, Viola Davis, that's her real name. Yeah. Okay, she made a whole documentary on colorism and just the experiences of like darker skinned women like herself trying to become like, you know, an actor even, or like just trying to get different jobs, how much harder it is for them to make it in certain industries just because of their skin tone compared to other industries. And I think that's so interesting too, how it's kind of shifted today, like to what you guys are kind of talking about with like, now it's like colorism's kind of been reversed in a different way to like being used as like fetishing Black people, which is like crazy to me, like, because I definitely see that more and more today. I still feel like the idea of beauty comes from like European like features and everything like that. But I think now, because because of like 2020 and like Black culture, everybody wants to be with it, you know. It is crazy how it's turned into like fetishizing, and how certain stereotypes have even been made, just like how Reggie was saying, to fetishize Black people and to go after them. Like colorism is used to create like these negative stereotypes, and like people really internalize these things and feel that they're ugly and they'll never be beautiful because of these things. And it's really sad. I feel like the media and the beauty industry, all that, we're slowly progressing, but we need to be a lot better, because like Reggie's saying, you don't see a lot of like darker skinned people as much in like shows and role models and stuff like in the entertainment industry. So like, yeah, I definitely agree with both of what you guys are saying. And I just hate that it's like such a big thing still. Like we talked about the history behind it, starting from slavery, and still today we still see colorism. And a lot of the time I feel like it is worse off from the Black community themselves. Like we're colorist towards each other a lot of the time, which is really sad to me. Like you'll hear the worst things coming from a darker skinned person talking to a lighter skinned person, or a lighter skinned person talking to a darker skinned person. And it's like really sad that it's coming from your own community a lot of the time. And then you also have to get it from the media, entertainment, everywhere else too. So yeah, thank you guys so much for speaking on that. Does anybody else want to add to Reggie or Tatiana's points?
I was gonna say that I feel like yeah, colorism is like a really unfortunate form of like anti or of anti-blackness, because it's like I remember being in school and the whole like light skin versus dark skin thing, and it was like more so I felt like even if people preferred, even when people like wanted to go for the lighter skinned person, it was more so they wanted like a Black person but with white features. And it was like for example, I feel like you would be light skinned, but at the same time, if you had like coarse hair, they would still prefer someone who would have like super straight hair over that. And then and I don't know if anybody remembers, but like a long time ago, there was this picture of Rihanna, and like someone made her like completely white because they thought she would be prettier that way. And it was like really like because Rihanna's not even that dark to begin with, and that's not what makes her beautiful at all. But like, what was the reason? What was the purpose? And I just feel like I don't know. I don't. For me, like going to a HBCU, I think I try not to. I don't know when because we talk about colorism a lot, and I feel like when I'm around, like I just don't want to take away from other people's experience, because like I feel like I'm someone that more so benefits from it. So I try not to like. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I just sometimes it makes me feel like I'm taking away from somebody else's experience, because it's really, I feel like the more affected people who like, what am I trying to say? I have this problem a lot where I like have something on my mind and then I can't spit it out. In one of my classes, we were having a conversation about colorism, and then there was like an argument that like happened between my teacher and then one of the students, because they were arguing about if a light skin could experience colorism. And after that, I just don't like to butt in, because I just feel like it's not really my conversation. But then I don't know, because I understood what she was saying completely, because the girl that was in my class was saying that like someone telling someone that they're ugly because they're dark skinned doesn't have the same effect on someone being told that you're pretty because you're light skinned, if that makes sense. I don't know. I just like I completely understand both sides, and it's just a tough thing for everybody, because it definitely stems from European like beauty standards. And it doesn't come from Black people, and I think that's where we get it wrong. Nobody in the Black community is at fault for colorism. It really stems towards white people, because had we not been brought here in the first place, no one would be arguing about who gets into the house and who wants to be closer to the white person, because nobody wanted to be there in the first place. But it's just tough, because ultimately it puts the Black community against each other, which is something that it just doesn't need to happen because there's already enough going against us as there is. So yeah, that's all I have to say.
Period. Everything you said was facts. And I definitely have heard that same argument that you're talking about, which is why I always like to acknowledge when I speak on colorism that like being lighter skinned, you definitely have a privilege, like argument about it. But I think like speaking in Black Student Union and stuff about colorism, like I would never want to butt in until my president that has spoken here before, Gracia, she would actually kind of speak from being, she's like, she's mixed with, oh shoot, she's Asian and Black basically. But I don't know if you guys saw her, but she's kind of darker skin also. And she would speak from just being mixed. And so she kind of understood like the colorism that comes with like being mixed sometimes. And she kind of, I don't know, she made me feel more comfortable speaking on it, I guess, because she would say how like people used to clown on Drake for being soft and light skinned and all this and that. And she would always bring up both sides of it. But I definitely see how, like, when you put it in that way, yeah, like, I don't think it has the same effect, maybe, like, is what you're saying, on lighter skinned people, because it's so much more, I feel like, oppressive. And, like, for decades, it's been that way where it's, like, targeted towards darker skinned people, like I said, and, like, all communities and cultures, I've heard the same thing. So yeah, I don't know, that is a good point. If anybody wants to speak on that, because I'm not really sure either.
I don't know, I just like because my teacher, they were arguing because my teacher was saying how you can't invalidate anybody's experience, which I completely agree with too, because somebody like being told that they're soft could affect them in a way that really hurts them. But at the same time, like I do get what she's saying, because is that the same thing as being told, like, I don't want to be with you because you're dark skinned, versus like, oh, you're soft because you're light skinned? Like, I don't know. I wouldn't want to take away from somebody's experience either, but I definitely understood where both of them, where they were both coming from.
Yeah, that's a really good point to bring up, for real. I'm glad that that was brought up, because that's not even something I had thought about before the Zoom, which is the point of the Zoom. So I'm really glad that we were like able to talk about that. Did Reggie or Tatiana or anyone else have anything to add to like what we've been talking about?
I mainly just wanted to say, like, realistically, in the world that we live in, I understand people navigating their lives through energy, through conversation, through proper manners. But to go through life wearing like these glasses that literally only show you light, what you see and deem through, somebody's skin color, it's a problem, and like even in our own communities, like something that I could say like was really hard for me in my life was like having to tell my mom and my other women in my house that like their hair is beautiful. Because when I was really little, like my hair was like the deepest or the tightest curl within my family, and my family didn't know how to like take care of it. So I was like, I want my hair long. So if y'all can do and help me out, I'm gonna do and figure it out myself. So they saw that like I really went and loved myself, loved my hair, got around other people with hair just like mine. And when I got to high school, I learned so much about it. I was literally in like the bathrooms or in like the theater hooking people's hair up X, Y, and Z. But then I took that knowledge and I showed my mom that her hair is beautiful. My sister's hair is beautiful. And it's so hard to believe that like in our communities, we literally like there's internalized hate. There's hatred within ourselves. There's hatred within other people, and how we see each other purely just by the way that we are. We can't help the way that we're made, but we can help the way that we see each other. We can help the way that we respect one another, because realistically, our features are just the way that they are. We can't change it. So don't sit up and just spend your entire life trying to straighten our hair or lighten your skin, get a little augmentation here and there because you feel like it might give you a better opportunity at meeting an ideal image. Like, thank you, girl. So is yours. Hey, making me feel all nice. Anyways, but yeah, like like realistically, I just feel like in this world that we live in, we just have to be nicer to ourselves. There's just so much more to life than sitting up having a useless conversation or about whether or not someone is worthy enough to be X, Y, and Z. These conversations, it gets uncomfortable before it gets comfortable. However, in the future, we'll be later on down the road, and then we'll be thinking like, oh snap, what do we do in these times? We just sat up all day cussing each other out about who's attractive and who's not, and who's gonna be X, Y, and Z. Something that I will say though is that like about the whole light skins being like softer, quote quote. People constantly think either brown skins or dark skins are like these super crazy, rambunctious, people. We can, take all these different types of emotions and be cussed out, and we love to fight X, Y, and Z. When in reality, I'm sensitive as hell. I'm hella sensitive. Well, like to a degree, but like for the most part, like I feel like in like the life that I live in, it's switched because I have super like deep dark skin like family members, and like they're probably as sensitive as it gets. But I have light skinned family members also who are like probably some of the most strongest people that I can say that I've met. So yeah, that's pretty much all I had to say.
Thank you so much, Reggie. Yeah, I feel like what was I gonna say? I don't recall what I was gonna say. Every time people speak, I'm telling you guys, I have to write it down, or 5 different things flash through my head and like I lose it by the end of it. But what I was going to read off anyways was my aunt. She shared a personal experience of saying in LSU, people were ganging up on her because she was the light bright and not Black enough to be getting attention from their Black men. So I do believe that colorism occurs on both ends of the spectrum. Yeah, I feel like that's definitely a fact. It definitely occurs on both ends. I just feel like the impact can sometimes be different because of the fact that like deeper skinned people are like we talked about, discriminated from jobs sometimes, or just like different things, even systemically, that happen from those aspects. That's where I feel like lighter skinned people do have a privilege, even though we definitely do experience colorism also. So yeah, anybody else want to speak on anything that was said here? I was gonna read off a few statistics to end like this topic from that site that I had showed the video from, if no one did.
I also saw that you're talking about systemically, like lighter skinned people, they'll get lesser time for crimes that like lighter skinned people and darker skinned people will commit the same crimes, and lighter skinned people will get less time, which is a problem in itself.
Yeah, and like you were saying, Serenity, my thought came back. Like even though it's happened now to where like the Black community has kind of turned against each other when it comes to colorism, it definitely started off as white people starting this issue, like you said, because this would never have even been a problem in reality if it wasn't for them. But like European beauty and European like culture, like I feel like they really have made Black people a lot of the time like hate themselves a lot, and then it makes them turn against their other Black people. Like I know what you're talking about, Auntie, because I walk into a room sometimes in BSU and I'm a little scared because I don't know if it's going to be like some of my Black community that is supportive of me, like in what I'm trying to do, or is really just like they've had their own bad experiences with lighter skinned women, like being privileged. And, that's when they sometimes don't always act the nicest towards me. And it hurts me because I'm just like, I don't know what to do, like I just feel so frustrated because I'm like, I understand why they hate me, but it also sucks because I haven't even got to talk to them yet. And I'm just like, oh, like if you really knew what I was about and all this, you would see like I'm not the same as those experiences you've had. But also sometimes it's not even just about the experiences, it's just about the fact that lighter skinned women do have that privilege when it comes to like men, when it comes to the different things we've talked about. And I do get that, but it just sucks that it's another way to pin the Black community against each other, because there are so many ways already that happens. So yeah, I'm so glad that we finally got to talk about this topic. And to end on it, I want to say these statistics because one of them is actually something you mentioned, Serenity. So researchers found that light-skinned women were sentenced approximately 12% less time behind bars than their darker-skinned counterparts. Women with light skin served 11% less time in prison than darker-skinned women. A 2006 University of Georgia study showed that employers prefer light-skinned Black men to dark-skinned Black men, regardless of their qualifications. A light-skinned Black male with a bachelor's degree and a typical work experience was preferred over a dark-skinned Black male with an MBA and past managerial positions. A law professor at Vanderbilt University conducted a study over 2,000 immigrants from around the world and found that those with lightest skin earned on averages 8 to 15% more than similarly qualified immigrants of darker hues. Darker skinned defendants are more likely to be convicted and receive the death penalty than lighter skinned ones. India's skin lightening cream, Fair and Lovely, boasts 38 million users worldwide. So that's a skin lightening cream that has 38 million users worldwide. Dark-skinned Brazilians make up 63% of the poorest sectors of Brazil. So yeah, those are just some statistics that kind of highlight the issues we're talking about here, because you wouldn't think that so many of these things would even be like a factor, but it's true at the end of the day. Like, it matters in employment, it matters in the justice system, it matters in all aspects of life. So yeah, did anybody else have any last thoughts before we move on to our next speaker, who is our co-host? All right, then, Tatiana, you can go ahead.
Hello. I don't really know where to start, if I should start with either personal experiences or, because I'm talking about colorism within my family, or just within me going to school as a kid and whatnot, and colorism within the entertainment industry as well. I kind of just have a lot of thoughts. I guess I'll start personally. So I guess before I start though, like, I don't want anyone to think I am either taking away from their experiences, or I'm underestimating or undermining it, or literally anything. Like, what you have experienced is what you have experienced. I cannot take that away from you. God cannot take that away from you. It is literally what has happened to you. And this is just what has happened to me. And this is where my psychologicalness is after all these years of being a light-skinned Black woman. And I honestly want to start with being in like elementary school. I had a really good friend. We were best friends for so long. We're not friends anymore. No ill will, but we just drifted apart after graduation. But I just always, she was half white, half Mexican, but she definitely passed as a white girl. She had this long, straight hair, like just this super pretty girl, right? And all the boys always had a crush on her. And I was like, why don't they like me? Like, what is wrong? I'm nice. What is wrong with me? And I always just chopped it up to, oh, it's because I have curly hair and because I'm Black. Because I see myself as a Black woman. And I also want to say, like, white people see my Black, whereas Black people will see my white. And I say that because I see my Black. I was raised, even though my mom isn't Black, she definitely taught us, like, you are strong, independent Black women, to me and my sister. Like, we don't need none of these men. We definitely want them, but there's no need for them, and we can do our own, and we're strong, and you know, all this and that. I was raised on being Black proud, and I've always been a proud Black woman. I've never seen myself as anything but a Black woman. And it's just when you have crushes at school, I mean, you kind of just think that like, they're not gonna like me because I'm Black. They're not gonna like me because I have curly hair. My lips are too big. My nose is too big. Like all this stuff that is just going through my head because they constantly go for girls that have the straight hair and the small mouth and the cute little button nose. I ain't got none of that. But, you know, I did find somebody who accepts me for who I am, but it's just like growing up, like that really took a toll on my mental health. It made me very insecure with my hair and just the way I looked. Because for me and my brother, we both like, we want to be darker. And I don't know if that's rude or offensive to anybody or how that may sound. We both definitely would love to be brown skin, dark skin, because it makes you, it's just, you're more accepted as a Black person. When you're brown skin or dark skin, when you're darker than me, you're more accepted by the community that you associate with. Whereas when you do look like me, it's definitely within your own community, there's a lot of bullying that goes along, honestly. And it's just, it really takes a toll on your mental health. And it's just like, if I'm not white enough for the white people, I'm not Black enough for the Black people, where am I? What am I? Who am I? You know, and it's just, it's very disheartening. It's very, like, I like still today, like I'll see a brown skin, dark skin woman. I'm like, oh my God, like she is so beautiful. Like her skin is popping, especially during the summer. Oh my God. Like when you have those bright colors on, girl, I'm just loving it. I'm soaking it all in. I am obsessed. Like I'm obsessed. I love like the deep tones and everything, but it's just, I know when people see me, it's not what they see. I definitely, although I do have Black features, I've mentioned, you can see, I've mentioned it multiple times. I have big nose, I have big lips. Like you definitely notice that I have curly hair. Like, I don't think I could pass as a white woman, even if I wanted to, because my features are so non-Eurocentric. I don't have small lips or a tiny little button nose, but it's also, I do understand I do have privilege. I didn't go out that much as a kid or really as a teenager that much. I didn't really experience it that much, but I see it. I see it through media. I see it on Netflix where literally every Black role is a light-skinned woman, which like, great, oh, we're giving these roles to Black people in general, but it's like, what about the representation of our dark-skinned sisters? Because they're still being portrayed as these drug addicts, baby mamas. They ain't got nothing going on for them. They're dancers or prostitutes or this or that. Like, it's just, it's so negative. Whereas for us, we're just like, we're so posh and we're so pretty and we're so bougie and we're so this and we're so that. Which, I mean, it's really not even like that within like the actual community of Black people. It is such a stereotype. I have met numerous women who just break the stereotypes of what is. And like my best friend, Claudia, she lives in Texas. She is a beautiful dark-skinned woman. I love her to death. And she's got this great kinky 4C hair. Like I'm literally all here for it. But it's just like, I wonder how she feels when people discriminate against her, because it's like, I see it from my end as being too light. I'm not accepted. She's too dark, so she's also not accepted. And it's like, at what color do we have to be accepted? Are we African dark? Are we light skin dark? Or like what? And it's just, it's really annoying. And it's definitely made me not so much now as I have grown and I have just accepted who I am for what I am. I can't get any darker than what I am. As much as I would love to, I literally just cannot. But it doesn't even matter. Like, I know I am a beautiful, strong Black woman. I don't care how other people see me. I know how I see myself, and that's truly all that matters. So that's just me personally, but also within the media. And I see this a lot as well. Like I had brought up, Netflix, just having a bunch of light-skinned women try and portray these darker roles I've seen. I was on YouTube and the video was for Jay-Z, who just got inducted into the Hall of Fame. I don't know if it was this year, if it was last year, but he just got inducted into this year. He just got inducted into the Hall of Fame. And they did a whole tribute to him. They got, I believe it was like 30 or 50 different celebrities to literally just read off some of his lyrics. And his daughter was in one of them, which, you know, great. We love Blue Ivy and all that. But I was reading through the comments because I don't know. I like reading through YouTube comments. And one of them was like, they were very happy that this Black successful man has stayed with his Black successful woman. And they've been able to make this great Black family and it's beautiful and we love Black love and all that, which I 100% agree. I agree. Like, I love Black children. I don't know why people think racist people obviously think they're ugly or they're any type of thing. Like, they're literally so cute. But this woman who I assume is white, she doesn't have like a profile picture, and I don't want to just be like name bias, but I assume she's white because she said, "What does race have to do with this? Nothing." And these people were commenting, and someone had commented back and said, and I will warn you, like, some of this does not make sense. But it says, in this era, it's rare a brother grabs a sister to marry or date when they make it big. Forgets about it, was sorry, like literally this does, I don't know what they were on when they were typing, but forget that they grew up around Black women, came from a Black woman, and were encouraged by Black women. Because I see a lot of rappers, they start off with like their Black females, and like, to me, anyone who's darker than me is either like brown skin or dark skin. I don't really see, like, I'm light skin obviously, but everyone darker than me is kind of just Black. Like, I don't really categorize like that. I mean, I'm Black, Serenity is Black. I don't really see any other, like, I'm not like that. But I definitely agree. Like, I see a lot of rappers who have Black girlfriends in the beginning, and then once they make it big, then they kind of go off into a different direction, and you're like, okay. Which makes it seem like they don't support Black women, or they don't believe in Black women that can help pursue them further in their careers, or whatever it may be. But this particular person within this comment section, because it was obviously about Beyonce and Jay-Z, and Beyonce is lighter than Jay-Z. And I don't know if people know this, but Beyonce's bloodline started from a slave owner. So she is white. She's got white in her a lot throughout her whole family timeline. She's obviously raised as a Black woman. She comes from a Black woman. She comes from a Black father, like all this and that, but DNA doesn't lie. And I also came from slaves. She came from a slave owner. Like, it happens. It's definitely within, if not all, a lot of our history was started, you know, during those times. And one of these people said, she said, you want to understand, she said, in this day and age, Black men in Hollywood marry biracial or white women more than they do their own. So it's refreshing to see a high caliber of Black men in Hollywood marry a Black woman. And to me, that sentence right there of they marry biracial women rather than their own. Am I not Black? Like, within this sentence, I am not Black enough for you. I don't count. I am just categorized as a white woman, apparently, because I'm not a part of your own. And that hurts. Seeing comments like this hurts. Like, I have to fight so hard to be Black. I am literally Black. And if my father was more active in my life, he would be here and show you he's a Black man. And I literally am constantly having to prove that I am Black. Because I remember going on school field trips. My mom would volunteer all the time to come and be the chaperone. And I would literally get asked if I'm adopted. And it was always by the white kids. Am I adopted because my mom is white? They see me as Black. But it's this Black woman right here does not see biracial as Black. I am like, girl, like we are sitting here fighting the same fight. Why are you against me right now? Like I 100% agree. Like, yes, I love that Jay-Z and Beyonce are such a power couple. They're a beautiful Black couple and all this and that. But that doesn't take away from my Blackness. That doesn't take away my literal DNA. Like my dad is a literal Black man. That doesn't take away his skin color. Doesn't take away, just because I'm light, that doesn't take away from me. And it's infuriating because I've been fighting this fight my whole life to be Black. And I literally am Black. And it's tiring and I'm tired of doing it. And I fear for my children because my fiance, he is only 25% Black. We haven't done like actual DNA. This is just guesstimating based off the family we know. But he's 25% Black. I'm 50% Black and he's darker than me. But I know when we have children, they're gonna be very light skinned. And I don't know what kind of hair they're gonna have because my hair is more curlier than his is. But I just know it's gonna be a battle for them their whole life to sit here and try and prove their Blackness. Like, look at my grandpa, he's Black. Like, look at my aunt, she's Black. Like, look, and I don't want to bring my children into a world where they have to sit here and prove themselves over and over and over, or where they have to sit here and be like, oh, this boy's not gonna like me because I'm Black, because they see themselves as Black. I'm gonna raise my children as Black. Like, I'm not about to sit here and do none of that. Like, we are Black women, we're Black men, I don't want to say we're higher up than everybody else, but we're on our own little pedestal. Like, we love being Black, we love our skin, we love our brothers, we love our community. Like, I'm gonna raise them that way. And I mean, it's definitely gonna be a battle. Like, I know, like I said earlier, like my brother, he wishes he was darker. And even though he wishes he was darker, he's maybe like a shade darker than I am. And he still has dealt with discrimination at his own school where they have like 99% white teachers. And it's because they see him as Black. And so it's like, where do I fit in? Where am I on the spectrum? I know I'm in the middle somewhere, but that's not good enough for anybody but me, which I guess that's all that matters, right? Is how I think of myself. But it's just when society is constantly just against you, it's very hard. And I'm a very skinny Black woman as well. And that doesn't help either. Like, I don't have hips. I'm not shaped like Beyonce. I don't look like Kylie Jenner. I literally am just this regular ass Black girl, and it's not enough. And I'm very thankful for my fiance because he constantly tells me just how pretty I am and how beautiful I am and how thankful he is and just all of this and that. And it's just, I mean, it's wonderful hearing it from him, but it's like when it's constantly in rap songs, oh, we don't like skinny girls. Oh, we don't want dark skinned girls. Oh, we don't want light skinned girls. It's like, what do you want? Like, what do you want from me? What am I supposed to do? I'm not about to sit here and get a $10,000 surgery that may or may not kill me because it's apparently very dangerous. But it's like, I don't want to also sit here and try and prove myself. And this is going on forever. I'm so sorry. It's like a rant at this point, but it's just like my mom, she's half Mexican. And like I said before, she's a very pink, white passing woman, but she is straight up out of Mexico. And when she was living with her family, her dad's side, like they would call her, what would they call it? Like just like a weta?
Weta, which is slang for white girl.
Weta, which is slang for white girl, or they would just like
Gringa? Gringa? That's another word too.
That too,
maybe.
yeah.
I've heard that one. Yeah.
It's very bad. Like the same way, because when I came out of my mother, I was very light. And my dad, who is to me, he's very dark. I don't know. To other people, he's not that dark. I think he's kind of dark, but that's just me. But like my dad was literally about to call me bright because that's what his family did with their other light-skinned grandchildren or whatever. They were gonna call me bright. Like my mom's like, no, we're not about to sit here and do that because I had to deal with that through my entire childhood where I wasn't accepted by my Mexican side of the family because I'm too white for them. And it's like the skin tone, really matter that much. And I skin tone does not matter. DNA is what's important. And it's the fact that I got Black in me. Okay. And however y'all want to take that, you can take it. I got Mexican in me as well. I've got Irish in me. And I will represent all three of those all day long. I don't care. But at the end of the day, I identify as a Black woman. And I know a lot of people do not see me as a Black woman. And it is just a constant battle. I'm going to have to deal with it for the rest of my life. And I've just accepted it at this point. Whatever. I don't really care. Cause when I braid, and when I do my box braids, I'm are people gonna judge me because they think I'm too light to have braids? Is this gonna be a problem? Cause I don't have kinky hair. Is this gonna be an issue? I don't wanna overstep boundaries, but it's I'm all I have the right to do this because I am a Black woman and I know how to braid. So, but yeah. Oh, also, sorry. Also within media, I was watching this one YouTuber and I completely forgot her name, and I'm so sorry to this YouTuber, but she had done some research on colorism, and she found that when, this is random, it had nothing to do with kind of what I was talking about, but cameras, the little old, not digital cameras, but the roll, and you had to swipe over, and if you know, but those cameras back in the day were catered to lighter skin. And I don't even mean me, I mean white people. So when you look at pictures from way, way back in the day of dark skinned people, the reason they're so washed out and completely shadows is because the colorism or whatever on cameras and the lighting was catered to white people. So, I mean, it's even back in the day when you're looking at models or you're looking at movie stars, when the literal focus of the lens of the camera is catered to a certain demographic of people, and then you see that camera on not the demographic of people that they're trying to cater to, you're ooh, they don't look as good, and maybe they're uglier, they look like this or they look like that, because racism has been in the system even with cameras, because they're gonna sit here and calibrate everything to a light skin tone but not to dark, and it's very sad. And it's definitely I wish I could pull up the video and show you the picture, but it's this picture of a dark skinned family. I don't know if they're African or what, but they're just a dark skinned family, and it's just flashed with the picture. It's a regular ass picture. You can barely see them. You can see their white shirts and stuff. You cannot see them. And it is just so how am I supposed to, I'm supposed to have that as a memory for the rest of my life, that we're literal shadows in the background because we're not catered to, we're not represented, we're not this, we're not that. It's the whole thing. All of this is just, I've had a lot to say about colorism for a while, so I'm sorry if this went on for too long, but it's very infuriating being as light as I am, and I identify as a Black woman. And like I said, Black people see me as white and the white people see me as Black, and it's just, where do I fit in, So yeah.
Thank you so much, Tatiana. I'm really glad that you spoke, because I feel it is important to get both sides of the spectrum talked about. And although colorism originated and still disproportionately affects darker skinned people, it definitely, with your experiences, has shown it affects lighter skinned people too. And I've had obviously a lot of the same experiences as you. I wrote a whole essay on how I felt I didn't fit in to the Black community or to the white community. And that's how I got accepted into college. So yeah, I definitely feel that it happens on both ends of the spectrum, 100%. But it is sad that when in terms of society and systemically, darker skinned people are disproportionately discriminated against. And then I feel like you were saying, more from our own community, lighter skinned people are really discriminated against. I feel the spectrum in itself pins us against each other. Just having a spectrum. Oh, this person is light. Oh, this person is brown skin. oh, this person is dark skinned. The spectrum in itself really pins us against each other and like just causes issues of like self-hate. And one thing I did want to bring up was, I don't know if y'all ever watched Maury or whatever. I think it was on Maury, but it was the one Black girl who like, she would not identify as Black, and she just like was saying how it's ugly to be Black. I'm not Black. Like, she was just acting like all this. I don't know if y'all know what episode I'm talking about, but it was
I
clear
know
that
exactly what you're talking about.
Dr. Phil. Yeah, it was on Dr. Phil. There you go. Yeah. And like, it's sad because, you know, European beauty standards, European culture, all these aspects of society, even cameras of you, as you've shown, Tatiana, are what made her feel that way, to where she literally hates herself and thinks of herself as a white person, even though she's clearly a beautiful Black woman. And it's really sad because like darker skinned women are wishing they were lighter, and lighter skinned women are wishing they were darker. So it's like you said, like, when are we gonna just be happy with being Black? Like, can we all just be Black? If we're Black, we're Black. It don't matter the skin tone. We're all just Black, okay? So yeah, I could 100% relate to your experiences, Tatiana, because that's why I hesitated in the first place to try braids. I didn't want people to think I'm not allowed to do braids. That's why I hesitated to ever join BSU. But I finally did, and I'm really glad because I found that group of Black people that are just like, okay, we're all Black, we're all in this together. And I wish it could be like that more, but it's like the spectrum and colorism and these stereotypes pin us against each other. And also like just, yeah, just completely like separate us in another way. And we just all really need to obviously stick together on these issues so that we can solve problems like more representation in the media of like all the different beautiful skin tones in the Black community. And yeah, I'm 100%, I feel your points. Anybody else want to add on to what Tatiana was saying? Maybe Auntie Danny, since you had your personal experience. If not, it's okay. But anybody else either too?
I kind of want to add on, but I suck at putting my words together. That's why I've been really talking this whole time. But I'm usually on like TikTok for usually a lot of like political discourse and a lot of like listening to Black voices in other POC communities. And a lot of what's been bringing attention to is cultural appropriation. And I feel like that kind of ties into like why a lot of communities are like perceived as like, oh, you're white, or you're not part of this community, because like people like Kylie Jenner are doing lip filler, getting like their bodies altered, or like Ariana Grande changing her skin color like every like other week. It's like, so I feel like that has a lot to do with why a lot of people are dealing with what they're dealing with, is because of people like them, like celebrities, like invading these spaces. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%, because then braids and big lips is pretty on Kardashians, but when you see it on Black women, we get made fun of, or it's not appropriate for the workplace, or it's just a bunch of different things. So that definitely contributes, Victor. I'm glad you brought that up, because yeah, cultural appropriation definitely ties in, which shoot, we can talk about that next Zoom too in itself, cultural appropriation. And that's why I feel like Black people try to gatekeep a lot of these things that we have, is because people profit off of things that we're being discriminated against for, you know, like Kardashians are over here profiting off of these big booties, big lips, darker skin color. Like, that's why we're trying to gatekeep our culture, because you guys are taking from us and profiting, but when it's us, like, we're being marginalized for it, you know? So yeah, that's definitely a good point, Victor. Thank you so much. Anybody else want to talk on colorism? You could share personal experiences or just bounce off of anything that's been said.
What you guys were just talking about with cultural appropriation, I have like a big one when I was like, dang, that's crazy. When Kylie Jenner um first did cornrows, and then everybody thought it was like a new discovered thing, like, because when I wore cornrows, I was raggedy and my hair was all this and that and the third. But then when somebody who has money and wants to just try something different for herself, then it's suddenly a hairstyle that's allowed to be worn outside, and that's appropriate. Like that's wild to me.
Yeah, it's frustrating because it's people try to use Black people only when it's in style. Like, I don't get that. Like, you got to be supportive for Black people, period. You can't just be like, oh, this is cute. I want to hop on this trend. I want to hop on this. Like, I don't understand that. Like, it's really frustrating to me that that's how it is. Like you said, like someone like Kylie Jenner can hop on a trend, then everybody's on board. Or even just a few years ago, like natural hair wasn't even like cute to wear, you know? Like now I'm super proud of my curls, but when I was in like elementary school, I never saw anybody with curly hair, especially because I went to predominantly white elementary school. But like even on TV, stuff like that, I would not see a lot of people with curly hair. And so like I would even like self internalize those things with just like curly hair until now. Like now curly hair is in style, like natural hair is cute. Everybody wants curly hair. People get perms now to get curly hair. And it's just crazy that even a few years ago, things were so different, you know? So yeah, I definitely think all of these things have to do with colorism too, because it's like consequences of colorism, like what colorism has caused within like the Black community, the media, just all these different areas. Tatiana, did you have any last thoughts on anything?
I feel like I've said this before, but that Mean Girls quote where that girl is like, I wish we could all just bake a cake and be happy and just fucking live life. Like, who cares? I really hope we reach a point where it's just, we're all just this big happy Black community where we're helping each other and we understand there's different sides and there's different spectrums and there's different stories for everybody. And I just really hope we can all open our eyes and understand, like, it's okay. It is okay that you've had a different experience than I have. That's not invalidating one or the other. I mean, they're very real. I've been bullied. Darks and girls be bullied. Like, it's just, we can all come together. We all just need to be happy. And, you know, we're all the ones who are Black in this group. We're all big, Black, beautiful people. And we, again, are beautiful, and we don't have to validate ourselves, and we don't have to prove ourselves. We don't have to keep doing this, and that. Like, you know, you're Black, it's cool. If you're light like me and Rainice, like, we know we're Black, it's cool. If you're darker than us, you know, like, we all just need to be on the same page. And I 100% respect every either African girl or African boy or brown skin girl or brown skin boy or and all in between. Like, I respect everybody. I, like, you know, because I feel for you. Like, I get it. I understand. Like, I may be light skinned, I'm still Black though. Like, and I understand. And all the stuff that's in the news and all the media, like, I take it personally because it's my own brothers and sisters. It's happening within my own community that I identify with. And, you know, I just really hope we can all be on the same page one day, because we all deserve it for each other. We are all in this together. We're all fighting the same battle. Okay.
Yes, for sure. Thank you so much. And speaking on that, I feel like where it starts is we all have to be able to walk in each other's shoes. Like, a lot of the time we're not willing to see out of our own perspective and our own experience, but we have to hear the other person for their experience, and we have to take that as true because we haven't been in their shoes, you know what I'm saying? So we really have to, like you were saying, not invalidate people's like experiences. And I feel like it's sad that colorism has divided the Black community so much, but what I really want to see is at least the Black community sticking together and not putting each other on this spectrum and using these negative stereotypes, because we already get that from the outside world. Like, so I hope that one day we can at least all together in our own community solve this issue of colorism, because yeah, it just sucks to get it from both your own community, as me and Tatiana have experienced, but then also everywhere on the outside as well, you know? So yeah, thank you guys so much for sharing like your personal experiences. I hope this was helpful in hearing like everybody's experiences that they've had with colorism and venting about colorism and the Kyle Rittenhouse situation. Did anyone have any last thoughts before we closed out? No. All right. I always like to end on a more like pause. Oh, Serenity. Yes.
I'm sorry. I was just gonna say that I feel like no matter what, like as long as you're like what you and Tatiana were saying, um, you with like BSU and you not feeling comfortable to like put yourself in those environments because maybe you feel like they're gonna think a certain way about you or wearing a certain hairstyle. I feel like if your intentions are pure, then like they will show for themselves. Like people can think whatever about what you think about yourself and whatever you think you're better than other people. But I feel like if you truly want to show like what you're about, like for you with its like defending black people and becoming a lawyer and stuff, I feel like you can see when you have those conversations with you that you don't think you're better because you're light skinned or you don't think those things. So as long as you enter situations with like good intentions, is what I'm trying to say, things will work out, I think.
Yeah, for sure. That's what I was gonna say too, is like the more I've been in BSU and like talked to these people that maybe kind of give me the side eye at first when finding out that like a lighter skinned person is vice president. I feel like as I've like come to more meetings and talked about what I really want to do with BSU and my goals, they've opened up to me and like there's no ill feelings at all now that they've gotten to know me. So I feel like the solution a lot of the times really is just having conversations. Like nobody wants to talk about stuff. They just want to feel the way they feel and like that's it. They don't want to hear anybody else's experiences. And I feel like that's just one simple way we can solve colorism within our own community is having these conversations and really listening to everybody's experiences. And then along with that, I feel like representation in the media and entertainment, that's definitely a big one. In beauty, like these are all areas where we need representation also. And education, just that these stereotypes are just stereotypes. Like this doesn't apply to all lighter skinned people, all darker skinned people. So yeah, those are just some of the solutions I thought of, but obviously colorism is a huge problem and it's going to take a lot to solve it, even just in our own community. But I hope that through stuff like this Zoom, like how we're doing today, like we can open our minds and like actually solve the issue. So thank you guys so much for coming. And I hope this was like really helpful for you guys for colorism. I was a little nervous on this because I just learned about colorism like entering college and I'm a junior now, but normally when I speak on stuff, I like to be like super certain, but that's why I kind of provided videos and like did research and I wanted to hear like everybody's perspectives and their experiences. So I hope you guys got a good whole feel to the topic because I feel like we talked a lot about both sides of the spectrum. So that's kind of what my goal was for it. So yeah, thank you guys so much for coming. I'm going to stop the recording.